In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the EverSD. And this is a SD card reader, essentially, almost like a flash cart. This came over from the UK. It looks like the case is 3D printed. Here you can see there is a micro SD card slot. We got that EverSD, and the whole idea behind this, is you should be able to play emulation on the Evercade with this. So what we've got is we've got their premium package. So we've got a micro SD card slot. We also have a controller hub, so you can plug this in to the Evercade, and you can actually plug in 4 USB controllers. And this works with the Versus as well as the handheld. So I have the handheld here. There is some setup that we're going to have to do on the computer. But before we do that, I'm going to actually pop this in. And let's just see if the unit will boot up at all. And if we take it, you can see it just slides in the back. And I got the red. I actually like the red because it sort of matches the red that's on the front of the case. Now, with this being 3D printed, it is a very snug fit here. So you do have to do a little bit of wiggling and then push in. Slides right in. Looks just like a Evercade cart. Now, one thing I would have liked to seen with this, and I haven't seen any yet, is artwork for the cases. Right? It'd be nice just to grab an extra case, be able to put this card on, put it on the shelf with my other Evercade games. But let's go ahead and turn it on. And let's see if it detects the cart or not. Alright, and so here we can see it says no cartridge inserted. So our first steps that we need to do to get this up and running is we're going to grab our micro SD cable, we're going to jump over to the computer, and we're going to flash the firmware patch that's needed, and then we're going to load up this SD card with some games for testing. So I will see you guys over on the computer. Alright, so we're back at the computer. We've got the Evercade, we've got our micro SD card is actually plugged into the computer. We've got our USB cable. We haven't plugged the Evercade in yet. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the SD card is formatted as a FAT32. So I'm just going to open up disk management. And this way I can delete all the partitions on it. And I have a lot of drives on this computer. So the one that we're looking for, I think, is the R drive. Right here we can see our removable disk. So it's a 32 gig micro SD. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this volume. I'm going to delete this volume. Alright, there we go. So now it's unallocated. And I like to use a different tool. You could create a FAT32 volume from here. But I like to, we're going to cancel that. I like to use a tool called SD Format Gui. So we're going to, I think it's actually FAT32 GUI. If you just search for that and you want the RidgeCorp website, and this is the tool, you can just click on the image. It'll download the tool for you. We'll go ahead and run that. And you just want to make sure you have the right drive selected. Let's name it EverSD. Hit quick format. Just going to go ahead and format our drive and label it as EverSD. Alright, perfect. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the EverSD website. So it's eversd.com. And here you can see this is the EverSD. You can buy, this is where you can buy it. So if we just jump over here, they used to have a bundle. I don't think they have the bundle anymore, but you could get the cart and the multiplayer hub, which is what I got. I actually got the bundle. But if you jump over here, if you're interested in buying it, you can buy it from them. One thing of note, I'm in the US, so I did a wire transfer for my purchase via PayPal. And for some reason, the order showed canceled in their system, even though the payment processed. I had to contact them, they fixed the order, and they shipped it out to me. So if you don't get a shipment notification from them after your payment clears, then just follow up with them. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the downloads. And they have a bunch of things on here. So we'll just scroll down through these. The Everloader. And this basically is an easy way to load ROMs onto your SD card and have it import artwork and everything. We'll get to that in a little bit. RetroArch, which we'll definitely be using. And then the Everpatchers. And then manual emulators that are different from RetroArch. The EverController, which is for the hub. And then EverFixer. And this is where, if it says no cartridge inserted, after you load up the SD card, then you can apply this patch. And then that's the old version of the Everloader. So the first thing we need to do is we need to run Everpatcher. And if we look here, there's a couple different versions. There's the one for the Versus, which is 2.3. There's Everpatcher 4.2 and 3.1. If your Evercade is on firmware 1.3.1, you need to run this one. If it's on 2.0.2, which mine is, you're going to run 4.2. So we're going to go ahead and download this patcher. Go ahead and launch it. We're going to say run anyway. Okay. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to plug in Alright, we've got the micro SD cable plugged in. And then we need to put it in patch mode. So I believe it's hold down the menu button and power it on. There we go. Okay. And the Evercade is going to boot up. It'll have a little bit of a red background screen. And now it is flashed. Alright, now that we have our Evercade flashed, the latest patched firmware needed for the EverSD, we're now ready to load up our SD card with the files. So to do that, we would just head over to, I already have them downloaded, but we'd head over to eversd.com, go to downloads, and you're looking for the RetroArch for firmware 2.0 if you're on the latest firmware. If you're not, then you grab this one. I already have this downloaded. It's a pretty large file. And so I've already downloaded and extracted it. And these are all the files that we need to put on our SD card. Let's go ahead and bring those over. While those are copying, I'm going to grab some games that I want to put on the Evercade, or the EverSD rather. Now, one thing I want to point out is, while it supports pretty much everything, you don't want to just dump everything on there. The way the UI works on the EverSD and the Evercade in general, you're looking at a tiled setup, and it's not folder structured. So that means whatever games you put on, you're going to have to basically wait for the system to render those. So if you just go and dump 2,000 games on there, your system's going to take a couple minutes just to boot up. So we're going to pick and choose what we want. And because this is on the handheld, I'm going to be picking and choosing some of my favorite handheld titles. And let's see what we got. We actually don't have any Game Boy games, but that's alright. Let's head over to the ROM master thread. Alright, ROM mega thread. And head over to the retro tab, and we're going to grab the Game Boy ones, and in particular what I'm looking for is Pokemon Yellow version. We go ahead and download that one. These are 7-zip files. Let me install WinRAR real quick. Alright. We'll go ahead and extract this one. Alright, so we've got Pokemon Yellow. I also want to grab... let's grab the trading card game, which is Game Boy Color. Let's head over to Game Boy Color. And let's jump down to P's. And we're going to grab the USA version of the Pokemon trading card game. Go ahead and open that one. And I'm just going to throw it in that same folder. And then let's grab... let's also grab Super Mario Brothers Deluxe. Grab the original release of that. Once again, I'm going to put it in the same folder. This will just make it easier for copying over. And let's head back and let's grab a couple Game Gear games. On the Game Gear, let's grab Sonic. We want Sonic the Hedgehog. Not Triple Trouble, the original release. And we'll also grab, let's grab Sonic 2 as well. And let's grab Streets of Rage. And Streets of Rage 2. Alright, this gives us a pretty good sample set. And you know what? Let's also grab, which I already have. We're gonna grab we'll grab Mario for the NES as well. Alright, so we've got Streets of Rage 2, Streets of Rage 1, Sonic, the original Sonic, Super Mario Deluxe. Oh, which we already had there. And we've got both Pokemons. Alright, that's a good starting point on that. And let's just grab from the NES. Oh, we actually don't have. Oh, those are only the A's. Alright, so let's head back over to the Mega Thread and NES. And let's grab the original Super Mario Brothers. This one. Okay. And just for the fun of it, let's grab an N64 game and see how it reacts. I'm not sure if the Evercade will even play this from RetroArch or not, but let's find out. Let's try Super Mario 64, and let's also try No Mercy. WWF. No Mercy. Ooh, let's go with RSA or USA 1, the patched one that has that actually can save. Alright, we got Super Mario 64 and No Mercy. There we go, that's a big game. Okay. Alright, that's a pretty good sample set. So now let's we've already downloaded Everloader. You can re-download it. So Everloader is what you will use to actually load the games onto the SD card. Let's go ahead and download this. And we can extract that. We're going to launch this. And you do need .NET Core 3.1 SDK to run this. If you get a pop-up saying you need .NET Core, then just what you can do is you can just Google .NET Core runtime, click the link, and then go to all .NET versions, go to 3.1, and make sure you install the SDK, the x64 version if you're on Windows of the SDK. And then that'll allow you to open this. What we want to do is we want to select our SD card. And then we want to add ROMs. And we're going to go to our downloads. And we're just going to select all of the ROMs that we've decided to load. It's going to try to scrape the CRC code to get the artwork for them. Hopefully it can pull artwork for all of these. It's looking for the banner images right now. Alright, Pokemon Yellow looks good. Trading card game looks good. Sonic looks good. It's got the Game Gear version. Nice. Sonic 2 for the Game Gear. Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage 2. Ooh, it doesn't have the NES Super Mario Brothers. It does have the Deluxe. It just doesn't have the World version. For the NES, interesting. And one thing you'll notice here, it does not support N64. So if we look at the extensions list here, we can see we've got NES, Famicom, Atari, the 78, the 52, the 26. We've got Genesis, we've got yep, we've got the typical MDs. Bin and Q, so it will load Sega Cd ISOs, it looks like. Yep, and we've got ISOs on here as well. Neo Geo Pocket Color, Game Gear, Master System, Atari Lynx, but not the Z64 or the N64 cart ROMs, which is fine. I didn't think it would actually be able to play it, but let's see how it handles. This might take a couple minutes to copy down, but let's see how it handles a game like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for, just put that on our desktop, for the Sega Cd. We'll let that one copy down off my network real quick. And while that's happening, we jump back over to Everloader. I believe this is where BIOS files. Okay. Do we need... Yeah, so here, if this is a good place to go to see supported systems, so we can see it doesn't support the N64. Atari 2600, 78, 52, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Sega CD, Sega 32X, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance is supported. PS1 is supported. So, we can try a PS1 game. That'd be interesting. PSP, Atari Lynx, Master System, Intellivision, Game Gear, PC Engine, the Wonder Swan. Now, one thing with the Wonder Swan that will be interesting is the new Evercade that's coming out, the EXP, has Tate mode, which the Wonder Swan had. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a firmware update for the EverSD that supports Tate mode. Neo Geo Pocket Color, Supervision, the Odyssey 2, Commodore 64 Amiga, the regular Doom games, Vectrex, Quake is on here. Okay. So, let's try the Sega CD one. Now, if we do the Q file, nice, brought in the artwork. Now, I believe a BIOS file is probably required. However, not entirely sure where the BIOS would need to be placed. So we can come back to that one in a minute. We'll check their documentation for that. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and jump over and see if I have PS1. I do. Alright, so this is the whole PS1 library, I believe. So let's grab one of my favorite games, Medieval. Grab the original release, official release of Medieval. And while that's downloading, let's jump over to the EverSD website and see if there's any documentation on the BIOSes. Check the FAQ maybe? Doesn't mention anything about the BIOS. BIOS location. Directory. System might be in there that we need to place it. So let's see what happens if I do. I think it'll let me go direct to the network drive. Oops. Possibly. I don't even have, might not even have the BIOS in here. I do not. That's all right. Give that a minute. All right. We got medieval. Let's go ahead and put that one on here. Perfect. We got artwork and everything. And we're just going to do a Control A. We're going to check them all. And I'm going to do Synchronize Roms. Here we go. Perfect. Alright, so it's telling me that I need to upload the BIOS. Okay. So please select the game and upload the missing BIOS files. So I gotta come here on here. And oh, here it is. Upload required BIOS files. Okay, and so they need to be nameless. So to get those BIOS files, I'm going to head back over. And let's go to Sega Cd. Probably have to go to no intro. No. These would be the read BIOS. Here we go. RetroArch BIOS. Perfect. And we want typically I use this emulator, so let's go ahead and grab those. Cool. And so that's got all of them. We're probably going to also need PS1 ones, but let's go ahead and extract these. And really only need the US one. Now if I try to synchronize it, oh, nope, it wants all three. So let's do all three. And okay, it doesn't look like we need it for medieval. Alright, let's do synchronize. And this should be writing all of those games to the SD card along with the BIOS for Sega Cd. If we take a look at our drive, Here we can see it's rating all the games. Very good. And if we look in the system folder, we can see it put the BIOSes there as well. So very cool. Okay. And it tells us they were synced to the microSD. Put the card back in the cart and enjoy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump over to the table, to the Evercade, pop the cart back in, and check it out. Alright, we're back at the table. We got our micro SD card. Let's go ahead and put it inside the EverSD. Slide that into the Evercade. Power it on. Got our red from the firmware upgrade. Alright. So we've got Medieval, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We got both Pokemon games from the Game Boy. We have the General Retro Arc. Go ahead and turn the volume down here. That if we just want to get in the Retro Arc screens, we can do that from there. We got Sonic for the Game Gear. Sonic 2 for the Game Gear, Streets of Rage for the Game Gear, Streets of Rage 2 for the Game Gear. If you remember, it couldn't find the artwork for Super Mario Bros. World, so there's just no cover art there, but the game should still be playable. And we've got Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. So let's go ahead and launch Super Mario Bros. Just make sure it's playable. Yep, and it is. And it's super quick. Alright. Just check our controllers. It's a Bees Jump. Really nice. Let's turn up the volume a bit. Let's see how the volume is. Volume looks good. Sounds good. Everything seems good here. Alright, so if we hit menu, and we can go to quit. This is where you can do save states and load those save states. We're going to go ahead and quit. Hit B. Takes us back to the main menu. Nice. Let's try Pokemon Yellow. Boots up super quick. The infamous Game Freak screen. Pika. Nice, very nice. Menu. Quit. Alright. Now let's see how full motion video does with Power Rangers. So it takes us to the Sega Cd launch screen. We hit start. Got the Sega splash screen. So far looking good. Very responsive, nice. Good to see. So the video's playing good.
Like, what are you? I am Zordon, an interdimensional being caught in
Obviously super pixelated because of the quality of the video.
I have brought you here to save it.
But really nice. Now one thing is, menu is not working. So I'm guessing I have to wait for the video sequence to complete. Yes, a menu is not working in this. And I'm guessing this is C. Okay. So it looks like the menu is not working is the only thing. So even when I'm here, menu's not working. So I guess we'll turn it off, turn it back on. So that's unfortunate. Not horrible, but unable to, from the Sega CD side at least, unable to get back to the menu without a complete reboot. So let's try PS1. Is it gonna load? It looks like it's loading. Very nice. And again, no menu on this. Oh, no, we do have menu on this one. So this is good. Yep, we can pull up our menus, we can do save states and all of that. Oh yeah, this is looking good. I'm not going to jump into gameplay of this one, but it's looking pretty good.
It has risen again, said Daniel Fortis.
Very nice. So if we run back, and I think the only thing I haven't tried yet is a Game Gear game. So let's go ahead and launch Game Gear and see how it looks on the screen. So obviously we're going to have letterbox here, because this is widescreen. Let's see how Green Hill Zone plays. Feels pretty decent. Does seem a little slow for what I'm used to with the original Sonic. Now, keep in mind this is the Game Gear version and not the Sega Genesis version. And I believe you can speed it up. When I was playing earlier, there's a hotkey to speed it up. But overall, that's pretty good. Really happy with this cart, especially for the price. I think it was £40, if I have my currency right. And so overall, really happy with it, especially with the PS1 support. I was not expecting that. So really nice to see the PS1 support. Really excited to be able to play Pokemon on here. In the past, I was playing it on a modded 3DS. Being able to play it on the Evercade is really cool. And the other nice thing about this is it can be played on the TV. We've got HDMI here. We also have support through the Evercade Versus. So that's going to be awesome for Medieval. Big stopgap for me until my Poly Mega Rise, which could be a year, could be 2 years. So being able to play some PS1 games and not having to use my fat PS3, big benefit. That's it for this video. Drop me a comment below. Let me know what you thought about this review and the EverSD. Again, you can get this at eversd.com. And let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching.